Irene, is that old woman your grandmother? Osas asked as she pointed at Grandma Efe, an old woman who was holding a scarf that seemed to have been extremely beautiful in ancient times. Irene smiled. No, I don't have a living grandmother. Then how come you call her grandma? Osas chipped in. How come you only hear the grandma part? Everyone calls her Grandma Efe, Irene chuckled. So which related to then? Osas continued to ask. She's my late grandmother's cousin. Grandma Efe is an only child with no children. Irene continued. She has a very intriguing story behind it. Osas' curiosity piqued as she drew her still closer to Irene. Why are you stopping? Tell me everything, she said. Her eyes widened in an attempt to not miss a single detail. This story goes like this, Irene began. In the vibrant village of Uromi, the Nysc Corps members' arrival was always a significant event. Efe, the daughter of a village head, a radiant young woman of 20, eagerly anticipated meeting the new arrivals. Among them was Osato, a handsome young man from Benin City. His tall frame, confident demeanor, and kind eyes drew Efe and many maidens to him instantly. As Efe helped organize the welcome ceremony, she noticed Osato standing alone, observing the festivities. Gathering her courage, she approached him. Hello, my name is Efe. Welcome to Uromi, she said with a warm smile. Thank you, Efe. I am Osato. This village is beautiful, he replied, his eyes meeting hers. I'm glad you think so. I hope you enjoy your time here, Efe responded, feeling a flutter in her chest. The two could not stop staring at each other, as in that moment their fate was set in stone. As everyone and everything vanished, it was just them their eyes could see, and they could hear their hearts beat rapidly in their chest. That night, as Efe laid on her bed, she could only repeat Osato's name as her eyelid closed slowly. Meanwhile, in the Corper's lodge, Osato couldn't stop thinking about how beautiful Efe was, how soft her skin felt, and how her eyes seemed to reflect the stars. As months passed, Efe and Osato became inseparable. Their love story unfolded under the watchful eyes of the villagers who admired their bond. Her father, the village head, had disapproved at first. Efe, he called her one evening. This thing you are doing with that Corper, I don't like it. Papa, what do you mean? She asked, scared her father would stop her from seeing Osato. It's a city boy who has only come here to serve. He will leave you heartbroken, my daughter. Efe knelt down before her father and promised such a thing would not happen. And so her father, who had loved her so much, especially as she was all he had after losing his wife, accepted her relationship. Efe and Osato would spend countless evenings together, exploring the hillsides and whispering promises of forever, under the shades of tree after Osato classes each day. One evening, they went to the village market, where Osato bought a beautiful scarf for Efe. They laughed and enjoyed the day, their connection growing stronger. I can't believe you bought this for me, Efe said, tying the scarf on her hair. I'll do anything to see you smile, Osato replied, looking deeply into her eyes. And as she looked back into his eyes, she believed him. Osato and Efe's relationship deepened as they shared their hopes and dreams for the future. They spoke of marriage, children, and a life together filled with happiness and love. Their bond was a source of joy and inspiration for the entire village. One night, they had a picnic under the stars. As they lay on the blankets, Osato took Efe's hand in his. Efe, do you ever dream about our future? Osato asked, his voice soft. All the time, Efe replied, squeezing his hand. I see us growing old together, surrounded by our children and grandchildren. As Papa runs after his grandchildren, telling them stories of the olden days, and maybe some stories about Mama he never tells me about her. Osato smiled, his eyes shining with hope. I promise to make that dream come true, Efe. As the Nysc program neared its end, a shadow of uncertainty loomed over their happiness. Osato knew he would soon have to leave Uromi and return to Benin City. The thought of parting from Efe filled him with dread, but it was determined to secure their future together. He sometimes thought of staying back altogether, but was dissuaded by Uzo, a young Igbo guy that had been serving in Uromi as well. No try am, he said to Osato. How can a fine civilized guy like you give up everything for a village girl? I know she's a fine girl, but guy, open your eye. There are many fishes in the sea. Osato did not reply, but it seemed a seed had begun to form in his heart. One evening, as the sun set, Osato took Efe's hand and led her to their favorite spot beneath a tree next to the village school. Efe, I have something important to tell you, he began. his voice heavy with emotion. My time here is almost up. I have to return to Benin City. Efe's heart sank, but she tried to remain hopeful. But you'll come back for me, won't you? Of course, Osato replied, his eyes filled with determination. I promise I will. In the days leading up to his departure, Efe and Osato spent every moment together. They clung to each other, knowing that their time was limited. Their love for each other was evident in every glance, every touch, and every whispered word. Efe's father, the village head, heart sank each time he saw the pair, as stories like this due to his experience never ended well. He truly hoped his daughter was an exception. Efe, I want you to remember that no matter how far apart we are, my love for you will never fade, Osato said, holding her close. I know, Osato, I believe in us, Efe whispered, tears streaming down her face. On the eve of his departure, Osato made a solemn request of Efe. He used a sharp object to cut her palm, and he made her to vow to remain chaste and wait until their marriage. Efe, this is a symbol of our love and commitment. Promise me that you will wait for me, he said, his heart trembling with emotion. Efe, filled with love and trust, agreed without hesitation. I promise, Osato, I'll wait for you no matter how long it takes. No man other than you would ever know me unless I want to join my ancestors. Osato's request was made, but deep down he knew their future was uncertain. He hoped that this promise would bind them together, even if they were separated by distance and time. As Efe made her vow, believing in every word Osato said, he knew that life was unpredictable and he feared the unknown. In his mind, Osato rationalized his action. She's young and naive, this is just a phase, she'll move on when I'm gone, he thought. This was never meant to be serious, just a distraction during my time here. The next morning, Osato left Uromi without a word. Efe awoke to find him gone, his absence a sharp and sudden pain. She looked at the cut on her palm, a symbol of their promise, and waited for news of his return. For the first few years after Osato left, letters arrived sporadically. Efe would read them over and over, memorizing each word, every promise of return. Osato wrote of his experience in the city, of the opportunities and challenges he faced. He spoke of his longing to see her again, to fulfill the promise they had made under the tree. But as time passed, the letters became less frequent. Efe's heart ached with each silent month that went by. She would sit by the window, staring at the horizon, hoping to see a messenger with a letter from Osato. Her candle, once a symbol of hope, began to flicker with doubt. Eventually, the letter stopped altogether. Efe was left with nothing but her memories and the covenant she had made. She kept Osato letters in a small wooden box, taking them out on lonely nights to remind herself of his words. Unable to send letters of her own, as in Osato's last letter, he spoke of moving to Lagos for more opportunities and would send a letter when he got there. Despite the silence, Efe's love for Osato did not wane. She continued to believe in his return, even as the years slipped away, breaking her father's heart each day as he watched his daughter glow fade. Osato returned to Benin City and quickly adapted to his old life. The hustle and bustle of the city consumed him, and he found himself drifting away from the promises he had made to Efe. He met a woman named Eseosa, and their relationship blossomed into romance. Eseosa was the daughter of a minister of finance, and being with her assured Osato of opportunities he could only imagine. The pair decided to move to Lagos to start their family. Osato, you seem distracted. Is everything okay? Eseosa asked one evening as they sat in a cafe. It's nothing, Eseosa. Just memories from the past, Osato replied, trying to push thoughts of Efe from his mind. Despite his feelings for Efe, Osato was drawn to Eseosa's vivacious personality and the excitement of city life. He made a difficult decision to move on, leaving Efe and their covenants behind. Osato married Eseosa and started a new life in Lagos. They built a family together, and the memories of Uromi and Efe faded into the background. The responsibilities of his new life overshadowed the promises he had made, and he convinced himself that Efe would eventually move on as well. Years passed, and Osato's life was filled with joy and challenges of family life. He often wondered about Efe, but was so ashamed to reach out. He hoped that she had found happiness and moved on from their shared past. One day, news of Osato's marriage reached Uromi. The villagers were shocked and saddened by the betrayal. They had witnessed the deep love between Osato and Efe and could not believe that he had broken their sacred covenant. Efe, have you heard? Osato is married, one of the villagers whispered to her. That "That can't be true," Efe replied, her voice trembling. "He promised he would come back." The villagers exchanged sympathetic glances, knowing how much Efe had believed in Osato's promise. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Efe clung to the hope that the news was false. She convinced herself that Osato would return and fulfill his promises. Her faith in their love remained unshaken, and she continued to wait for him. "Efe, you have to face the truth. Osato is not coming back," her best friend Itoha said gently. "No, Itoha, he will come back. I know he will," she insisted, her eyes filled with determination. The villagers watched with pity as Efe hung onto her hope. They saw her as a tragic figure, a woman whose unwavering loyalty had become her greatest sorrow. Yet they admired her strength and resilience, even as they wished she would move on. Over the years, as Efe entered her late 20s, suitors began to line up at her door. Men from neighboring villages came to seek her hand in marriage, drawn by her beauty and grace. Her father, worried about his daughter's future, encouraged her to consider the offers. But Efe had made a covenant unknown to anyone, so she politely declined each proposal. She turned them all down, explaining that hers belonged to another. He saw his daughter radiant and full of life, yet unwilling to embrace a future that seemed within her grasp. Efe tried to explain her promise to Osato, but he saw it as a folly of youth, a romantic notion that had no place in the realities of life. Despite his concerns, Efe remained steadfast. The village began to whisper about the strange girl who turned away every suitor. Some admired her loyalty while others thought her foolish. Yet through it all, Efe held her head high, confident in the promise she had made. She believed that one day Osato would return and make her wait worthwhile. "Efe, you deserve to be happy. Why won't you give someone else a chance?" as her cousin Isoke asked one day. "I made the promise, Isoke. My heart belongs to Osato," Efe replied firmly. Her steadfastness was both admired and pitied by the villagers, who wished for her to find happiness. Efe's rejection of suitors became a part of her identity. She was known as the woman who waited, a symbol of unwavering loyalty and the power of a promise. As the years turned into decades, Efe remained true to her covenant. She lived a life of solitude, her love for Osato a constant presence in her heart. Her beauty faded, but her spirit remained strong, a testament to the power of love and the strength found in keeping one's word. "Efe, why do you continue to wait? Life is passing you by," her friend Esosa said one day. "I believe in our promise, Esosa. It's all I have." Efe replied, her voice resolute. Efe's story became a legend in Uromi, a tale of love, betrayal, and resilience. She found solace in her faith and the belief that sacrifice was not in vain. Her unwavering commitment became a beacon of hope for those who faced their own struggles. As Efe entered her late 90s, her days were filled with reflection. Her health declined and memories became fragmented. Despite this, her love for Osato remained a constant thread in her life. Her friends and family, now a dwindling few, often visited her, recounting tales of the past and urging her to find peace instead. One day, her friend Esosa visited, sitting beside Efe with a somber expression. "Efe, you have held on to this point for so long. Perhaps it's time to find peace and let go of the pain." Efe, her voice frail but resonant, replied, "I believed in a love that was meant to be. I waited because it was my choice, and it has been my journey. If Osato never returns, I've lived with the honor of my promise." Esosa sighed, her eyes filled with empathy. "Your love is a testament to devotion. But remember, sometimes life requires us to also cherish ourselves and the moment we have." Efe nodded, understanding the wisdom in her friend's word. As she closed her eyes, she reflected on her life lesson. Her story became a beacon for those who heard it, a tale of unwavering loyalty and the delicate balance between holding on to a promise and embracing life's ever-changing realities. The moral of Efe's life teaches that while devotion and promises are noble, personal happiness and self-worth are equally important. One should strive for a balance between loyalty and self-care, recognizing when it is time to let go and embrace new possibilities. Her life was a reminder that while love can guide us, it should not imprison us. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment on what you thought about the story so far. And in case you have noticed, this is not the original voice of the channel. The original creator is currently sick. Please support our channel by coming back for more videos, repost, tell people about our channel, and please don't skip on the ads.